You are listening to Radio Long Island City, recorded at our studios near Hell Gate, 9 kilometers north of the Harbor Hill Moraine. And now, the Observatory. The Observatory, Tuesday the 28th of October 2025. It is 36 days after the fall equinox. It is 54 days before the winter solstice. By the French Republican calendar, it is the 7th day of Brumaire, the day of the figue, the common fig. The sun rises today at 7:22 a.m. Solar noon takes place today at 12:39 p.m. The sun sets today at 5:57 p.m. Civil twilight ends at 6:25 p.m. and nautical twilight ends at 6:57 p.m. The length of daytime today is 2 minutes, 26 seconds shorter than yesterday. The moon is in its waxing crescent phase and is 40% full at midday. The first quarter will arrive tomorrow. These are the predicted tides today for Horn's Hook. In the wee hours, high tide, 3:27 a.m., 1 meter 22. In the morning, low tide, 9:25 a.m., 34 centimeters. In the afternoon, high tide, 3:41 p.m., 1 meter 40. At night, low tide, 10:06 p.m., 15 centimeters. In our shared realm of plants and animals, it can be hard to gauge the cleanliness of our waters, which are such important environments for a wide array of sea creatures. Though we have Hallett's Cove to visit an actual beach, most of our coastline here is made up of high seawalls. While the waters are infinitely cleaner than they were a generation ago, they still face threats. One of these comes from our combined sewer system, which mixes raw sewage and rainwater runoff. Flushing Bay is a hotspot for sewage contamination. The last survey in 2018 showed that our city dumped 2.4 billion gallons of runoff into Flushing Bay. Much can be done to increase the size of tree beds and reduce impermeable paving, which would allow more rainwater to soak into the ground. But ultimately, if we care for our marine ecology, we will gradually wean ourselves from the combined sewer system. Commemorations. On this day in 1831, the British inventor Michael Faraday demonstrated his electrical generator. It was constructed at the Royal Institution in London and consisted of a magnet inserted into a tube encased with a coil of wire. By moving the magnet back and forth, he was able to produce an electrical current. His invention, the dynamo, is the basis of all systems of electrical generation used today. On this day in 1858, Roland Hussey Macy opened his first store in New York City. R. H. Macy Dry Goods was located at 6th Avenue and 14th Street. On Macy's first day of business in the city, sales totaled $11.08. Macy's moved to its current location in 1902. On this day in 1886, the Statue of Liberty was dedicated in New York Harbor. President Grover Cleveland made an address, and the final rivet was symbolically driven into the statue. There were parades of boats in the harbor, and the very first ticker tape parade in New York's history took place in Lower Manhattan. On this anniversary, let us consider what the Statue of Liberty represents to us today, as our government is being radically reshaped, and isolationism and nativism are ascendant. On this day in 1913, the comic strip Crazy Cat had its debut. It would remain in syndication for the next 30 years. Created by George Harriman, it featured its eponymous cat, who was madly in love with Ignatz Mouse. Ignatz despised Crazy, and in each strip contrived to throw bricks at her head, a gesture she always interpreted as an act of love, much to Ignatz's dismay. A dog, Officer Pup, was Crazy's protector, and often foiled Ignatz's brick throwing. The strip was rendered with loose pen strokes and took place in a highly stylized rendering of Coconino County, Arizona. Its surreal storylines and highly abstract visual idiom made it unlike any comic that had appeared until then. On this day in 1940, Italy invaded Greece. The invasion was the brainchild of Italian dictator Benito Mussolini. He didn't warn his ally Hitler of his plan, blindsiding the Nazi leader. The invasion was shambolic. Another example of a strong man seeking a glorious little war that ends up in disaster. Today is Ochi Day in Greece. It marks the anniversary of the Italian ultimatum delivered to the Greek government on this day. The people of Greece took to the streets shouting Ochi, which means no. And that is the Observatory, Tuesday the 28th of October, 2025.